I'm 31, and I know this probably sounds small compared to the things couples usually break over. It was just a song, one song, 3 minutes and some change at our wedding. But sometimes the smallest argument shows you the shape of the entire relationship. Not because of the song itself, not really. Because of what happened when it became the first thing in months that was clearly mine. My fiance's name is Marin. She's 33. I'm 31. We've been together for 9 years, engaged for one. And for most of that time, I would have described our relationship as stable in the best possible way. Not dramatic, not chaotic, not full of breakups and reunions. We were the couple people trusted to be okay. We got through career changes, family illnesses, moving cities, depression, therapy, and the long, slow process of becoming adults without turning on each other. We bought a small house 2 years ago. We adopted a dog. We made budgets. We fixed plumbing. We became very good at functioning. That sounds like a good thing, and it is. But lately, I've started wondering if we became so good at functioning that we stopped noticing we weren't really reaching for each other anymore. Maureen is detail oriented in a way that can be impressive or exhausting depending on the day. When we got engaged, she built an entire wedding folder before I'd even finished calling my brother to tell him. Color palette, venue options, guest list categories, dress appointments, flower estimates, backup flower estimates, a page literally titled Emotional Tone of the Day. I'm not mocking her. That's who she is. She loves planning. She loves creating a mood. She loves making things beautiful. And honestly, for a while, I loved watching her do it. But very quickly, the wedding became something I was attending more than something I was part of. Every opinion I gave seemed to land wrong. If I liked a simpler invitation, it didn't match the vision. If I suggested fewer flowers, I was only thinking about cost. If I asked whether we needed a videographer and a content creator, she said I didn't understand how much memories matter to her. Eventually, I stopped offering opinions unless directly asked. And even then, I learned to keep them soft. Whatever you like. That sounds nice. I trust you. It was easier, dangerously easier. There was one thing she told me I could choose by myself. Our first dance song. She said it like a gift. You pick it. I want that one to be yours. I actually got emotional when she said that because it felt like a place for me inside a day that had slowly become built around her tastes, her family expectations, and her version of what romance should look like. So I chose a song, an old one, not trendy, not something you'd hear in a modern wedding playlist. Just a song I grew up loving because my mom used to play it while cleaning the kitchen on Sunday mornings. When I was a kid, I thought it sounded like forever. I told Marin the story. She smiled. She said it was sweet. We danced to it in the living room more than once. For a few months, it felt settled. Then my mother ruined it without meaning to. She came over for dinner one night and heard the song playing while Marin was testing our reception playlist. My mom got this nostalgic look and started laughing. She said, "Oh my God, he used to love this song. He had the biggest crush on the singer when he was little." I laughed too because I hadn't thought about that in years. I was 8, maybe 9, a kid with no concept of actual romance, staring at a music video like every child who has ever developed a harmless celebrity crush. Marin laughed in the moment, but as soon as my mom left, she got quiet. I asked what was wrong. She said, "You never told me that." I thought she meant the childhood crush. I said, "Because I was 8." She didn't smile. She asked if I still thought the singer was attractive. I stared at her for a second because I genuinely thought she was joking. She wasn't. Then she said, "We can't use that song anymore." That was the first time I felt something inside me pull back. I asked if she was serious. She said yes. She said it felt weird now. She said she couldn't believe we had danced to it romantically while I had that association with the singer, that association. From childhood, I told her this was absurd, bad word choice. She said, "So my feelings are absurd?" I said, "No, but this is not a betrayal." She said, "If it was innocent, why didn't you tell me?" That line bothered me more than anything else because I suddenly realized she wasn't asking for reassurance. She was building a case. I tried to stay calm. I told her I didn't know every childhood crush she had either. She said hers were different. I asked how. She said because she would never choose a wedding song connected to one. I said, "It's connected to my mother, to my childhood, to a happy memory, not to a woman I thought was pretty when I was 8." Then she said, "You're making me feel stupid for being hurt." And there it was, the trapdoor in so many of our arguments. No matter what the actual issue was, eventually the conversation became about whether I was allowed to disagree without being accused of invalidating her feelings. I said something I regret. I said, "You're acting crazy." The room went silent. I wish I had chosen a better word. I know that words shut the whole conversation down. I apologized later for the word itself, but I did not apologize for thinking the reaction was unreasonable. That distinction became another fight. For 2 days, we barely talked. Then the song argument became every other argument wearing a new jacket. She said I never took her emotions seriously. I said I took them seriously so often that I had started treating them like weather I had to plan my life around. She said she was scared of losing me. I said I was scared that fear had become a reason I wasn't allowed to have anything that didn't orbit her comfort. She cried. I felt guilty. Then I felt angry for feeling guilty. And underneath all of it, there was something neither of us wanted to say. We had been unhappy for a while, not miserable. That would have been easier. Miserable gives you permission to leave. We were comfortable, responsible, affectionate in small ways, good at logistics. But intimacy had become almost ceremonial, something we remembered we were supposed to do, and then felt awkward trying to restart. We cuddled, we kissed, we loved each other, but a desire had turned into a subject we discussed more than something we shared, and every serious conversation about it ended with both of us apologizing and nothing really changing. Our lives had become practical: bills, dog walks, house projects, family schedules, wedding deposits. Everything looked stable from the outside, but inside I kept feeling like a guest in a life we had assembled together. The house had more of her in it than me. The wedding had more of her in it than me. Even our future plans seemed to have become something I was supposed to approve after she imagined them. The song was small, but it was mine. And when even that became negotiable because of her insecurity, I realized how little space I felt I had left. The turning point came during a meeting with our wedding coordinator. She asked if we had finalized the first dance. I said yes. Marin said, "We're still deciding." I looked at her. She didn't look back. The coordinator smiled awkwardly and moved on. But I barely heard the rest of the meeting because in that moment I felt humiliated in a way I didn't expect. Not loudly, not dramatically, just this quiet understanding that my one decision was not actually a decision unless she approved how it made her feel every day. In the car afterward, I asked why she did that. She said, "Because we are still deciding." I said, No, you are still deciding. I already chose. She said, marriage means choosing together. I said, then why did I only get one choice? That hit harder than I meant it to. She started crying again, but this time I didn't rush to soften it. I just sat there, exhausted. When we got home, she said, maybe we shouldn't get married if I saw her that way. I asked, what way? She said, like I'm some controlling monster. I told her I didn't think she was a monster, but I did think she was controlling more than she realized. Not because she wanted a beautiful wedding, not because she had insecurities, because she kept turning those insecurities into rules I had to obey. She said, I just don't want to lose you. I said, I know, but sometimes it feels like you're holding so tightly that there isn't any room for me to stay willingly. That was the first time we both went quiet for the right reason. Update 1. We postponed the wedding, not canceled. Postponed, that distinction matters, even if I don't know whether it will stay true. We lost one deposit. Her mother is furious. My mother cried because she thinks this is her fault for telling this story about the song. It isn't. The song was just the match. The pile had been there for a long time. Update 2. Marn and I started counseling. The first session was uncomfortable in a way I think was probably necessary. At one point, the counselor asked me what I wanted the wedding to feel like. I said, like I'm also getting married. Marin looked at me like I had slapped her. Not because I meant it cruelly, because she finally heard it. Update 3. We still haven't picked a song. I don't know if we will. Part of me still wants the old one, but another part of me knows it has too much weight now. Not because of a childhood crush, because it became proof of something neither of us can ignore. I love Marin, I really do. But love is not the same as momentum. And a wedding should not be something you keep moving toward just because the machine is already running. I don't want a perfect wedding. I want to know there is still room for both of us inside the marriage. If we can find that, maybe we still have a future. If we can't, then postponing the wedding may be the first honest thing we've done in a long time.